You're wondering in the video what I'm doing. So 3.1. So 3.1 only has 2 questions in it, and it deals with graphing a parabola that has different heights. So if I drew a better graph than that, and I was going to graph y equals x squared. Well, if I made a table for that, x and y, and I did -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, what happens when I square -2? What answer do I get? 4. And if you square -1, so I'm plugging these in there. -1 times -1 is 1. 0 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. And 2 times 2 is 4. So that graph is going to have what we call a vertex right here. And then we go over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. And then we go over 2, up 4, over 2, up 4. And you need to memorize that because we're going to use that to graph more complicated quadratics today. So the pattern creates what we call a parabola, and the graph is over 1, up 1, and then over 2, up 4, over 1, up 1, or I got that backwards, -1, 1, and then over 2, up 4. Okay? Well, what if I wanted to graph y equals 2x squared? Well, all that's going to do is double these. So now instead of over 1, up 1, it will be over 1, up 2. So over 1, up 2. Over 1, up 2. And instead of over 2, up 4, it will be over 2, up 8. Now, that green parabola looks thinner, right? But did I compress it horizontally? Is that the movement I made? No. What did I do? I stretched it vertically. So even though it looks thinner, the proper description is actually taller. Okay? Well, what if I had 1/4 x squared? So now instead of over 1, up 1, it will be 1/4 as big as those. So the new parabola will be over 1, and instead of up 1, how far up do I go? 1/4. So I divide that into fourths, and it's right there. Over 1, up 1/4. And instead of over 2, up 4, it would be over 2, up 1/4 of 1, which would be 1. Over 1, over 2, up 1. Now that looks wider, but actually this should be described as shorter. That was the movement we made. We made it shorter. Okay? What if I make these negative? What's going to happen? Well, we change the sign of all of those. And what does that do to the parabola? Just flips it upside down. Oh, let me move over that Alex assignment. All right. Here are the 2 questions in 3.1. Let's do this one first. (2x squared). Oh, well, let's do it the way they want us to do it. So we place our vertex right in the middle. And if the number in front of the x squared is a 2, where are my first 2 points? over 1 up 2. And then instead of over 2 up 4, it's now going to be over 2 up 8. Over 2 up 8. And once you have those 5 points graphed, you push the graph button and it will draw the parabola for you. Okay? So what if it was y equals 1/2 x squared? How am I going to graph that? Well, normally I go over 1 up 1, over 1 up 1, and then over 2 up 4, and over 2 up 4. Normally it looks like this. So I'm going to put my first point right there. Oh, something is wrong with the smartboard. Okay. So I stick the first point there. And then where is the next point going to be? Over 1 up 1/2. How do I put a point at 1/2? It doesn't look like I can hit it. Well, you have to use this button, and it will ask you, what do you want the point to be? So I'm going to do 1, 0.5. Or you could type in 1/2. That would work too. Okay, and then you can see it stuck that point on the graph for me. Okay, and then I need to do another one. Oh, it didn't work. So 1, 0.5. Is there a enter button or something? Plot point. Oh my heavens. It's like I've been on vacation for a week, right? So 1.5. Okay, and then negative 1.5. And then the other 2 points I can just put. So now instead of over 2 up 4, it's going to be over 2 up half as much as 4. So it would be a 2. I missed. And then you would draw it there. Okay. All right. Let's look at this one. All right. So let's put these in order according to the smallest number and the biggest number. So we're looking at the number in front of the x squared. Which of those 4 numbers has to be the smallest? Well, what do you know about these two? They're negative. So A would be negative and C would be negative. Okay, which means the other two are positive. So which of the positive has the biggest number? Oh, thank you. Thank you. So positive and negative. Good eye. So is B bigger than C? Well, a bigger number will have what kind of graph? A taller graph or a shorter graph? So if we multiply by 5, what will that do to the graph? We'll make it taller. If we multiply it by 1/2, what will happen to the graph? Makes it shorter. So which of those, A, B, C, or D, is the biggest? C has to be the biggest. So C is larger than B. Okay, what about the negatives? Which one is smaller, A or D? Now that's kind of a tricky question, right? Because we're on the other side of 0. Yeah, now they're negatives. So the tallest negative graph will be the smallest number. So it's going to be this. Right? A has to be the smallest number. D has to be is bigger than A, but it's smaller than B because D is negative and B is positive. Okay? So the second question asks, choose the coefficient that is closest to 0. Which one of those is closest to 0? D. Why D? So we have to compare this one to this one. Right? Why is D closer to 0 than B? It's shorter, right? So the shortest graph is going to be the one closest to 0. Which one's going to be the furthest from 0? The tallest graph, whether it's upside down or not. So what does the next question ask? With the greatest value. So this is going to be closest to 0 because it's the shortest. This is going to be the furthest away from 0 because it's the tallest. This is the smallest number because what makes this the smallest? What makes A the smallest? It's the tallest negative number. Which one's the biggest? This one, because it's the tallest positive number. Does that make sense? Okay, that's it for 3.1.